What if everything you believed about success was wrong? What if the very thing you were running from, failure, pain, humiliation, and was actually the door? Not the obstacle, the door. There is a man who lost everything. A man who stood in front of the most powerful investors in the world and told them the economy was about to collapse. And they laughed at him. They didn't just disagree. They dismissed him. They fired him. They walked away. He was 34 years old, operating out of a 2-bedroom apartment, borrowing money from his father just to survive. That man went on to build the largest hedge fund in the history of the world. His name is Ray Dalio, and what he discovered in the ruins of his failure, what he found in the silence after everyone walked away was not a strategy. It was not a formula. It was something deeper, something older, something that cuts through every lie you've ever been told about how the world works. This is not a video about money. This is a video about reality, about pain, about the brutal, beautiful truth of what it actually takes to build something that lasts. Stay with me. It is 1982. Ray Dalio is watching the numbers. He has studied every economic cycle he can find. He has gone back through history, traced the patterns, followed the logic, done the work that no one else is willing to do. And the numbers are telling him something terrifying. The American economy is about to collapse. He goes public with this. He tells anyone who will listen. He stands on national television and says it plainly. He writes letters. He makes calls. He is certain. He is so certain that he bets his entire firm on it. And then the economy booms. Not a crash, a boom. One of the strongest bull markets in American history begins almost immediately after his prediction. He loses almost everything. His firm, his staff, his reputation, his confidence. He has to let every single employee go. He sits alone in what is left of Bridgewater Associates. Just him. Just the walls. Just the sound of a man trying to understand how he could have been so completely, devastatingly wrong. He has to borrow $4,000 from his father to pay his family's bills. Let that land. A man who believes so deeply in his own intelligence, in his own analysis, in his own vision, humbled to the floor. Humbled to silence, and here is where most stories end. Most people would have quit. Most people would have found a reason to blame someone else, moved on, found a safer life. Most people would have folded up that dream and tucked it quietly away, but Ray Dalio did something extraordinary. He sat in that silence and he asked himself a question that most people are too proud, too frightened, too fragile to ask. He asked, what if I'm wrong about how I think? Not just wrong about the market. Wrong about the way he was using his mind. Wrong about the very process by which he was arriving at conclusions. Wrong about himself. That question, that terrifying, humble, devastating question, changed everything. We don't talk enough about what failure actually feels. Like we talk about it from the other side, we celebrate it in retrospect. We frame it neatly in motivational quotes and turn it into content. But in the moment, in the actual lived, breathing moment of collapse, it does not feel like a lesson. It feels like an ending. You know this, you have felt it. Maybe not in a boardroom. Maybe not on national television. But you have felt the specific weight of being certain, and then being wrong. You have felt the silence of a room after your idea is rejected. You have felt the loneliness of a dream that isn't working. You have felt the shame of looking at your life and not recognizing it as the one you planned. That feeling has a name. And its name is not failure. Its name is the beginning. But we don't know that when we're in it. When we're in it, it feels like the end of every story we ever told ourselves about who we were supposed to be. It feels like proof, cold, hard, humiliating proof that we were never good enough to begin with. Ray Dalio sat in that apartment and faced something that most successful people spend their entire lives avoiding. He faced the truth about himself, not the flattering version, not the narrative he sold to investors or told at dinner parties. The real truth, the uncomfortable, unvarnished truth that he had confused confidence with competence, that he had confused passion with accuracy, that he had built his entire identity on being the smartest person in the room, and the room had proven him wrong. And here is the thing about that kind of pain. It either destroys you or it transforms you. There is no middle ground. Ray Dalio made a decision in that apartment. He decided that he was going to figure out not just what went wrong, but why his mind had let him walk so confidently toward a cliff. He started writing. Not trading notes, not market analysis. He started writing down the principles behind every major decision he had ever made. He started treating his failures like scientific data. He started asking not just what happened, but what it revealed about the way reality actually works. And slowly, painfully, imperfectly over years, a philosophy began to emerge, not a theory, a way of being. He called them his principles. And the first principle, the one that sits beneath everything else, the one that changed Ray Dalio from a bankrupt man in a two-bedroom apartment into the founder of the most successful hedge fund ever built, was this: embrace reality and deal with it. Not the reality you wish existed, not the reality you're performing for others, not the comfortable story you tell yourself at night. The actual reality, the hard, cold, sometimes brutal reality of what is true right now. This sounds simple. It is not simple. Most of us spend our entire lives in quiet, sophisticated warfare with reality. We argue with it. We bargain with it. We dress it up in better language and hope no one notices. We call our weaknesses quirks. We call our patterns bad luck. We call our fears reasonable caution. Ray Dalio stopped doing all of that, and the world opened up. There are principles in Ray Dalio's life that rebuilt him from the ground up. Not 5 easy steps, not a morning routine. Principles, deep, hard, life-altering principles that most people are not ready to hear. But you are here, so you are ready. The first principle is this: pain plus reflection equals progress, not pain plus time. Pain plus reflection. Time alone heals nothing. You can carry the same wound for 40 years if you never stop to examine it. But when you take pain, real, genuine, cutting pain, and you sit with it, interrogate it, refuse to let it pass without extracting everything it has to teach you, you do not just recover, you evolve. Dalio calls this the most important formula in his life. He did not run from the pain of 1982. He studied it the way a surgeon studies a wound. He asked what it revealed. He let it change him. And every time after that, every loss, every miscalculation, every moment of being wrong, he ran toward it with a notebook. What does this mean for you? It means the conversation you've been avoiding is your next breakthrough. It means the relationship that ended, the business that failed, the opportunity you missed. None of it was wasted if you are willing to reflect. None of it, not one day, not $1, not one tear. The second principle: be radically open-minded, not politely open-minded, not professionally open-minded, radically, uncomfortably, ego-destroyingly open-minded. Dalio built something at Bridgewater called radical transparency. Every meeting was recorded. Every disagreement was welcomed. The most junior employee had the right, the obligation, to challenge the most senior leader if they believed they were wrong, not because disagreement is comfortable, because truth is more important than comfort. We have been taught that confidence is strength, and sometimes it is. But there is a version of confidence that is just fear wearing a better suit. It is the fear of being wrong. The fear of being seen as uncertain. The fear that if you admit you don't know, people will stop believing in you. Ray Dalio learned that the most dangerous person in any room is the one who has stopped being genuinely curious, the one who has decided they already know, the one who listens only to respond, not to learn. Are you that person in any area of your life? Be honest, be radically honest. The third principle: you must work for what you want, not what you think you deserve. There is a subtle, poisonous belief spreading through our culture right now. The belief that wanting something badly enough is a form of earning it. That passion is a substitute for process. That declaring your dream on social media is somehow halfway to living it. Ray Dalio built Bridgewater over 40 years. 40 years of early mornings and hard conversations and being wrong and adjusting and trying again. There was no viral moment. There was no overnight explosion. There was relentless, disciplined, methodical work, grounded in principles that he tested every single day against real results. He did not succeed because he deserved it. He succeeded because he built systems. He built habits. He built a culture of truth around him that made excellence the only possible outcome. What systems are you building? Not what dreams are you dreaming? What systems? What daily practices? What structures are you putting in place today that your future self will be able to stand on? The fourth principle: the machine is bigger than you. This one is harder to hear. Dalio talks about the need to see yourself as a component in a machine, not the machine itself. To be able to step outside your own perspective and evaluate yourself with the same objectivity you would apply to anyone else. This means asking, if I were hiring for the role I am currently playing in my own life, would I hire me? If I were evaluating the progress I have made this year in someone else's life, would I be impressed? Most of us can't do this. Most of us are too close to ourselves, too emotionally invested in our own narrative, too afraid of what we might find if we actually looked clearly. But the people who can do this, the people who can hold themselves to a standard that is honest rather than flattering, those people do not plateau. They do not stagnate. They do not look up one day and wonder where the years went. They evolve, continuously, relentlessly. The fifth principle, the most important thing you can do is find out what is true, not what is comfortable, not what confirms what you already believe, not what makes you feel good about decisions you've already made. What is true? Dalio says that most people's biggest problem is not lack of intelligence or lack of opportunity. It is that they are unwilling to see reality as it is. They have built elaborate, sophisticated, beautifully decorated prisons out of their own assumptions, and they have lived in those prisons so long that they have started to call it home. Truth is the only way out. Truth about your finances, truth about your health, truth about your relationships, truth about the patterns you keep repeating and the stories you keep telling yourself about why things aren't different yet. The truth will not always be kind, but it will always be useful. I want you to stop for a moment. Just stop. Think about the version of yourself you imagined when you were young, before the world told you what was realistic, before disappointment taught you to aim lower, before the gap between who you are and who you wanted to be became something you stopped looking at directly. That version of you is not gone. It has never been gone. It has been waiting. Patiently. Quietly. Behind every excuse you made, behind every dream you postponed, behind every morning you woke up and chose comfort over courage. Ray Dalio was 34 years old, broke, humiliated, alone in an apartment, and the entire world had told him he was wrong. And he chose. He chose to believe that the pain was information, that the failure was education, that the silence was not an ending but an invitation to rebuild not just a company, but a philosophy, a way of seeing, a way of being in the world that was anchored not in hope but in truth. And here is what I need you to understand. You have that same choice, right now, today, in whatever season of life you are currently walking through, in whatever failure you are still carrying, in whatever dream you have quietly placed on a shelf because you told yourself it was too late, or you weren't smart enough, or the moment had passed. The moment has not passed. The moment is now. The moment is always now. Pain is not your punishment. Pain is your professor. Failure is not your verdict. Failure is your education. And reality, hard, cold, clear, unforgiving reality, is not your enemy. It is the only ground that is solid enough to build on. Ray Dalio lost everything and used it to build everything. What are you going to do with what you've been given? You did not find this video by accident. Something brought you here. Some question you've been carrying. Some weight you haven't been able to put down. Some part of you that knows, quietly, persistently knows, that there is more available to your life than what you are currently living. I am not asking you to be Ray Dalio. I am not asking you to build a hedge fund or predict the markets or write a book that sells millions of copies. I am asking you to do something far more difficult. I'm asking you to be honest. Honest about where you are. Honest about what's working and what is not. Honest about the story you've been telling yourself and whether it is serving you or protecting you. Honest about the pain you have not yet reflected on. Honest about the version of yourself that is still waiting, still possible, still real. Write down your principles. Not Ray Dalio's principles. Yours. The things you believe about how the world works. The values you claim to hold. The standards you say you live by. Write them down, and then measure your actual life against them. Look honestly at the gap. Don't explain the gap. Don't justify the gap. Just see it. Because the moment you can see it clearly, the moment you stop defending it and start examining it, that is the moment the gap begins to close. Every single morning you are given the same gift that Ray Dalio was given in that apartment in 1982. The gift of a choice. The choice to run from reality or to walk toward it. The choice to let pain pass through you unused or to mine it for everything it contains. The choice to protect your ego or to grow your mind. The choice to perform confidence or to practice truth. You will fail. You will be wrong. You will have moments where the thing you built falls apart and you are standing in the wreckage wondering how you got there. And in that moment, in that specific, sacred, terrifying moment, you will have the chance to become something you could not have been before it happened. Don't waste it. Don't you dare waste it. The principles are not complicated. They are just demanding. They demand your honesty. They demand your courage. They demand your willingness to look clearly at the world and at yourself and to choose truth over comfort every single time. That is the work. That is the only work that matters. Ray Dalio went from borrowed money and a broken dream to building something the world had never seen before. Not because he was the smartest, not because he was the luckiest, but because he was willing to be wrong, willing to learn, willing to see reality as it actually was and work with it instead of against it. You have the same capacity. You have always had the same capacity. Now go use it.